Today, we have the distinct honor of speaking with Syddonna Brown Grizzle, a remarkable environmental health professional and sustainability advocate whose dedication and excellence has made significant impact in her field. With a wealth of experience and a passion for driving positive change, Syddonna's journey is nothing short of inspiring. Let's dive into her story and learn from her invaluable insights. Syddonna, welcome to Magazika.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. What is your current role and your expertise as an last that I checked environmental engineer, and how was your journey to it? What was the passion behind it, please?
Okay, so I became an environmental engineer basically by default, to be honest. I was interested in the sciences from high school, and I was looking into doing pharmacy or medicine at the time. But life would lead me I'm the first of 5 children, and I thought to myself, it would have been unfair to go to medical school when I have 4 other siblings behind, and I know that medical school was expensive. So I opted for a cheaper option, and I went and I did chemical engineering technology at the University of Technology, Jamaica. Thereafter, I started teaching, but in a desire to change, make a shift, I started working with the Ministry of Health, Jamaica, doing as a scientific officer. And from there, I actually started medical school, but I wasn't able to sustain it for financial purposes. So at that point, I had to pivot. I had to make a decision as to what to do. And I know that, just laying back and crying about, the situation would not have helped. I even got a part 50% scholarship, but still couldn't find the rest of the monies. So at that point, I needed to find something that wouldn't affect work, was in the science field. And basically, I ended up doing environmental science just because it was the only program I knew in Jamaica that offered the courses on a weekend. So that's how I ended up there. From doing that program, I got a promotion to environmental scientist, which is in an environmental health chemistry lab. And from there, I had another promotion to environmental engineer. And basically, that's how I ended up doing that. It's somewhat by default, but I totally enjoy it. and it just felt right. So even though I think I could be a good doctor or a good pharmacist, I also became a good environmental engineer and scientist. So it worked out quite well.
Fantastic. As they say, when you make plan for your life, life makes plan with your life.
Exactly.
So it turned out to be a very good plan for you.
Right.
Okay, so what is exactly the role of environmental engineer? Very briefly and in a very layman's term, if you could explain for our readers, please.
Okay, well, environmental engineering in a nutshell is a very wide and broad area, very it has so many options. It is a sub program from the civil engineering program. Okay, so environmental engineer does fall under civil engineer, and you basically use engineering principles to address environmental issues, right? As I said, it's a very wide field, so particularly in the area of work that I do, I work in health. And what I do is to monitor water systems in Jamaica to ensure that the public's health is secure. I also do air quality, and that those two areas, I mean, it's not typically what you'd look for in under environmental engineer, but just to show you that you're not limited just to production or manufacturing, or I'm working in health, and that has been a significant help to supporting the public's health. We look on wastewater systems. The environmental engineer also do those designs, and they also provide some support even to HVAC systems, depending on what area you want to focus on. So there are several options when it comes on to environmental engineer.
Very broad field, but it was quite clear that you work very closely like a civil engineer with the civil engineers, but you look mainly to the environmental sustainability. Any development, any infrastructural development should be in coordination with the environmental sustainability.
Definitely. And we're going in a direction where even waste management, because environmental engineers really do look into that, how to reuse, reduce, recycle waste. So it's a very very fulfilling job. You do some amount of work to protect humans, animals, being aware of the space and how to properly utilize the space, because we have been using it inappropriately for many years. So the environmental engineers, I think, play a critical role in pulling in the reins so that we can work a little bit more in coordination with the environment for even our own comfort.
Fantastic. Like you are including everyone and you are you're looking at diverse areas of environment, inclusivity and diversity at its most elemental form.
As its most elemental form, correct.
Yeah, thank you. So throughout your career, because so many of our readers are looking for job and they're professionals and everything. So a professional like you, they will be very eager to learn from you. That what are some key challenges you have faced in your career, and what exactly was your strategy to overcome them? Like to name a few.
Okay, all right. So as a female, that is definitely one challenge. I'm in a male-dominated area, and sometimes you will be taken for granted that you can't do some things. But I have overcome that simply by just doing it. Just not getting overwhelmed by, oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't go down to that trench, or oh, you can't do that design, or just do it. So you can overcome by just understanding what you're able to do and just get it done. There are other challenges even as I was transitioning into the field. The options, what do you do? I also did sanitary engineering as a postgraduate diploma. So you're looking into the options, where to go. There are several, again, additional sub areas of environmental, what direction you go. What I did was to focus on where I was at the time. I was dealing with water quality, and that's why I continued to study in in sanitary engineering. So one thing you could look on in making that decision, and it's often a challenge because some people just need some direction, they don't know exactly where to go. If you have done internship, or if you have done or you're doing some work in the area, it's an opportunity to be an expert. So if you like what you're doing already, then you can just do additional studies to focus on that to become an expert. So that is, maybe two of the challenges that we undertake and how I handled those.
I specifically like the first one. What about the naysayers? Your reply is just do it.
Just do it. Just do it.
Without being reactive, without being overly critical or judgmental or anything, without being frustrated, just do it.
Just do it. Just do it. And you don't even have to be arrogant about it.
No, yeah.
You don't have to be. Just, what you are capable of doing. Just do it. And then rather than trying to defend yourself, your work speak for you. So you will gain the respect by just doing it.
Yeah. I sense a lot of motivation and passion in that statement. So how do you, we have a very limited amount of motivation and passion. Passion we have, but motivation sometimes. So how do you keep that enhanced all the time through being very proactive against all those challenges? How do you maintain this motivation and passion?
I find that question to be very interesting because my motivation is internal. I remember once, I work very hard. And I remember once a coworker said to me, why do you keep doing all of this work? And, you don't have to, you shouldn't have to. Why do you keep doing? And for me, sometimes it gets really tough and it gets really hard. But these opportunities were what eventually put me a little bit ahead, because where others weren't willing to do it, I got exposure. I was able to sit on boards that they weren't willing to go to the meeting. So I'll take that. Nobody wants to sit in the meeting, but then it provided me with some exposure. And then also one critical element of my motivation, it may sound cliche, but honestly, I am my own competitor. I believe that I have my own lane. Somebody could be beside me going way ahead and going faster than I am. I don't try to compete with my neighbor. I try to compete with the last version of me. You understand? So essentially, I'm not too caught about even getting A or in school, or caught up with, oh, she's doing it, so let me do it. Sometimes you can use that as a motivation, but have I done my best? That's my question. And that is something I even pass on to my own child. Have you done your best? It is okay if you get 70% and that was your best. But if you come with 99% and you could have done 100, I do have a problem with that, right? And that's the same mantra that I have. I keep doing my best, and much of the accomplishments that I have attained is by virtue of having that spirit of excellence. Basically, just having that spirit of excellence. I'd rather not to do something than to do it halfway. I'd rather delay doing it than give it 20%. I try my best to do my best all the time, not sometime, all the time.
So nice to hear that, because extrinsic motivation can drive you sometime, but intrinsic one, internal one, that's the fuel for the long game. And I was really fascinating by the time that I am my own competitor. And I want to, and the spirit of the whole thing that you just said is you always try to reinvent and re-challenge yourself throughout your work life, on not only on a yearly basis, but almost on a day-to-day basis, on a week.
On a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Even in terms of how you deal with a situation, you reflect, how did it turn out? Did it turn out well? Is there something that I could have done better? And you do that every day. You do that every day. So it's just continue working on you and understand that you have your own lane. A friend of mine once said, and I, grabbed at it, there are several stars in the sky, several. Everyone has their own shine. And pretty much, that's exactly it. You have your own shine, you have your own purpose. You just need to just stick to your course and do your best doing your course.
Such a powerful statement, such a powerful statement, such a wonderful way to identify that everyone is important in his or her own way. And together we make a that is one of the, I think, in a layman's understanding, that is also one of the core understanding of sustainability in a group or in a community.
Oh yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And by virtue of the word sustainability, it speaks about continuity. It speaks about continue moving, continue developing, continue just you are sustaining, right? So I mean, whatever situation, while I am in environmental, even in terms of just your day-to-day life and even how you manage your career and so on, it's moving, it's keeping relevant, right? So that is sustainability, becoming relevant and being aware of what works now, right? So I mean, you can apply it also in your own life. To be sustainable is to continue. So
thank you very much for that. And let us have those understanding in a very practical way. So can you please tell us a recent project or any project that you have accomplished or doing right now that you are particularly proud of?
Oh yes. I was a student of the Master of Engineering Innovation at Toronto Metropolitan University. Now, I left from Jamaica to Canada. And before I left, and having heard about that program, as a matter of fact, when I saw that program, when I discovered that program, I was searching for something that I wasn't quite sure exactly what it was. I knew in my job that I was doing well, and I realized that I had good problem solving skills. And so I went online and I was searching system development, because I realized that I put in processes very well and put in systems very well. So I was looking system development, system improvement, and I keep seeing those computer courses and so on. And I said, no, that's not it. That's not it. And I said, I started putting in innovation and all of those things. And that's how I discovered Toronto Metropolitan MEIE program. And, I mused on that thing for a while because it just felt like, yes, this is something that is going to take me to another level. So while, yes, I'm doing well in my job and I could just relax, there was just something inside of me that was just bubbling and hungry for more, right? And so I decided to apply for that program. And through that, I took on the challenge of utilizing food waste, right? So initially, I heard that there was some concerns and issues in Canada about food waste. Yeah. And so, okay, I said, all right, let me look a little bit deeper into that. And then from there, we had a program, a course actually, that focused on narrowing down, right? And we narrowed down until I found also that there was a lot of potato waste at the time. And then I said, how could I use potato waste into something valuable? And I had an assignment to complete, and out of the blue, to some extent, pure frustration of trying to find an innovative idea, I said, you know what? I'm having 3 days of headache trying to figure out what to do. I said to my working partner at the time, I said, let us just use potatoes to make fabric. And honestly, I thought it was just crazy, but it would get the assignment done. Then I went into second semester and I realized that we're supposed to carry over this project and we make it real. And in my mind, I was like, what? How do I how do I take potatoes and make it into fabric? I thought I was just fulfilling an assignment. So at the time now, I looked into what was required and I wanted to change my mind, but there was another part of me. I wanted to learn the process. So for me, I didn't want to just change the project just to make life easier. I wanted to continue through with the process to learn all that I could, because as far as I'm concerned, if I understood all the concept of innovation and how we even make that a marketable product or service, then I can apply it to anything. So for me at the time, I wasn't so enthused anymore about changing it, even though I wanted something easier. So I challenged myself to extract fibers from potato. Did it work? No, it didn't. It did not work. But then also, after I discovered that it was difficult to extract fibers from potato, I said, okay, what do? I don't want to start over. I want to continue through with the process. And I was just lying down in my living room one day thinking about it. And I said, oh, what about leather? What about leather? It's still in the textile. What could I do to make it leather? And just simply that, I started to just mix and blend in my kitchen. And at first it looked like porridge. And then it dried and it felt like leather. It looked like it. And I was like, oh my God, just like that, by just giving yourself a chance at it. So at first it seemed impossible. At first it seemed like it didn't make any sense. And I also want to point out a very critical part of my growth and process to being here. We oftentimes are very busy working, never taking the time to pause and think. And that's very important. We can be working, but I realized that there is genius in stopping to think. That's when imagination, clicks. That's when you get an opportunity to say, hey, maybe I could do this, maybe I could do that. And that, I believe, is a very important part of innovation. Just stopping to think, just being at that quiet place, not doing work. Sometimes you just need to rest, think, and great ideas will come. And basically, that project has led me, oh my God, it has led me to even this platform, right? I have won several awards for that project. And I'm still working on it. We do have a prototype. We're looking good. We're heading in a very good direction. And I'm happy to say at least we know there is a possibility of taking discarded potatoes and making it into leather for your handbags, for your car seats, for your shoes. It is possible. We have a prototype and it is possible.
Wow. It's like a science fiction. It's like a science fiction. Science fiction, not in a fiction sense, but a science fiction come to reality.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Who could have thought that? So
Oh
basically, you have answered to my other questions, but I will ask to the last part of another question is that how do you see leadership and how being innovative contributes to your leadership?
Okay, well, certainly, if you are an innovator, it will eventually lead you to leadership. And of course, there are many who say that you won't always be the CEO, and that's true. But even before you select a CEO, if that's not your role or you choose not to go there, you have to apply some leadership to even make that decision, to even get there, right? And because innovation is not, it's not a solo act, one way or the other, one point or the other, you're going to have to rely on collaboration. You're going to have to listen to what others say. You're going to have to listen to your colleague, listen to your potential customers. And if you have customers, you're going to have to keep listening to them. You understand? So it's always a collaborative, process. Now, leadership, it's often assumed that if you are smart and intelligent, you automatically can be a leader, but it's a different level of mindset and approach to success, right? Leadership takes skills like empathy. How do you feel when I say this? How do you feel when I did not communicate well? So you're thinking about communication. You're thinking also about coaching, right? Because you alone can't know it all, as you won't go very far. So you may have to take in somebody and coach through. And even for me, even though I've had supervisor experience or management experience, I invested in myself. I watch YouTube channels on how people lead a team, how they were successful in doing that. And I also invested in courses. I paid for, short courses. I did do LinkedIn course to just get a perspective of how others have done it and how successful they are. Because sometimes we think that our way is the way, and especially as scientists and engineers, we have a system in our heads, and human beings, they it's not always so systematic, you understand? And you will always be able to treat everyone the same. And you have to have that sense of you have to be mature enough and sensitive enough to know that there's a difference between equality and equity, right? And when you think about equity in terms of leadership, clearly you won't be able to deal with everybody the same way. You have to meet them where they are, right? So leadership is going to be a very critical part of that innovative entrepreneurial journey, and it's worth investing in. Talk to others, observe, and another important part, when you have made mistakes, because you're going to, I find that in my earlier days, because you are so driven, and I don't know if culturally or through school, especially the scientist and the engineer, they will push hard to get very good grades, but that interpersonal skills, sometimes we do like that, right? I personally am an introvert. It doesn't seem that way, but I do struggle sometimes even to say hello to somebody, even though I want to, right? And so there are things that I have to be deliberate about, right? I have to be very deliberate in saying, okay, I need to improve on this. And I know that this is going to hold me back, and have some plan and strategy, and talk to others. There were other people that I get good advice from, that at the time they weren't even leaders. I was leading them, but they were able, I reach out to them and they were able to say, Grizzle, you can do this. Grizzle, you can do that. And, we often wouldn't look, of course, you're gonna want to look on somebody that is ahead of you, but it also is a very good idea to look on even the people who you lead, because they have some good ideas. They do. And, they all are valuable, whether ahead or lateral or somewhat you're leading them, they do have value that you can use.
Fascinating stuff. I was really blown away because the empathy, communication, coaching, and investing in yourself, it is so resonating with your motivation that your motivation comes from internally. It is so interlinked. So
Oh, yes.
yeah, it is coming to a full circle now. It is all falling into places. Yeah.
Yes.
Last question to you, and it's a two-part question kind of. So what are some of the most important lessons, few lessons that you have learned throughout your career? And with that, or apart from that, how do you handle stress? Because every job comes with its stress. Life always throws you mixed packages. Success, there will be a stress. Um, Promotion, it will come with larger responsibilities. So life is always throwing you mixed packages. So what are some important lessons, if you try very briefly, and how do you handle stress? You can start with the stress if you want. So, and what are the most important lessons in your career you have learned so far
Okay.
for our readers, please?
Okay. All right. So stress is good, and it is also bad. Well, anything, if it's too much, it's bad. And a part of growing is also learning to say no, and it's also learning and understanding when to hold back. And I've had to learn that. And I'm glad you have this platform for others who would want to, tune in and to learn and take it from persons who have had experience before. I mentioned to you that I work very hard and I don't regret it. I am certainly trying to couple that with a little bit more smarts. I mean, throughout the hard work, you are applying smart work too, right? But when I speak of smart, it's not just the typical smart that we're thinking about, maybe using technology and so on, but smart in the sense of, do I have to do this? Could this be delegated to somebody? Can I trust this person? If I don't, what do I need to do so that I can trust them to take this over while I focus on what really matters? Because we can oftentimes get caught up even as we're going ahead and we are taking on greater responsibilities. We still keep hanging on the ones that we started out with, and that affects us in so many ways. And as we're talking about sustainability, we can go there. To be sustainable, you need to remain healthy, right? And to be sustainable, the generation and the ones that are coming up need to learn what you are able to do. So if you keep doing that plus more and not take the time to teach somebody or to share that knowledge with somebody, you're going to experience burnout. And then also, somebody would be affected by a knowledge that you could have shared that they want to get, right? So I honestly, I'm a believer of sharing information. Honestly, I am a believer of sharing that. When some people believe that if you have information that others don't have, you are empowered. Yes, to some extent, but your community is empowered if they have the information that you have. And then you have a group of people that have similar mindset, because very often they're not able to make the step up simply because they don't know how. Not because they may not have the ambition, but they don't know how. And just remember that somebody is waiting on you to make that step. And that person will be able to help you some other time in the future. In addition, I mentioned to you about stopping and thinking. Sometimes you just have to stop and relax. So I'm very good on deadlines and meeting deadlines, right? And I try to, because I do that, I often pack things on because I try to meet the deadline. So, oh, I cleared that, so I can take on this. But sometimes you just have to learn how to keep things in the queue, attend to what you can attend to. And even for me as a mom and wife, I am a career person. I'm very domestic. I cook, I wash, I clean, I take care of the family, right? I do all of that. And it can get overwhelming. But if you have done your part, even in the home, and you want to take your time, and you have demonstrated to your husband and you have demonstrated to your kids that, hey, when you need me, and as a matter of fact, beyond even you needing me, I'm going to ensure that you are in my schedule. I'm going to ensure that you are a part of my life, my day-to-day life, right? So even though I'm at work, my child is home on the holiday, she's on a holiday summer break. There are days where I am having meetings like now, and there are days where after eating, I'm calling and I'm spending the rest of my lunchtime with her on the phone, right? So take it as it comes. Put some things in a queue. In my early days, I tried to do it all, but that's not smart. That's not smart. And share the knowledge that you have. And when you do so, people will be willing to help you. I've had situations where I have things to do, want to do it, and even things that could promote me and advance me. It is people who I stop to help. And they say to me, Syddonna, you did this for me, so I want to do this for you. You did this for me. Can I do this for you? There was one person who said, can I pay for you to go to a hotel? Because it is because of you while I have completed my master's. It's because of you why I'm now a manager, because you gave me a chance at it. And so take your time, take time for yourself. In my younger days, I didn't see the importance when some people say, take time for yourself. I didn't see the importance of doing that. But now, as you take on more responsibility, take time for yourself, take time for you and your family, and make what matters more to you, make it matter. Not after you're ill, not after, you're on your dying bed. Make what matters to you matter now. I hope that helps. And in terms of, well, I did mention through talking about managing the stress and so on, I did mention about some of the lessons learned. And, one, I'll add two more to that. Giving yourself a chance, take the risk. Take the risk. Sometimes we're so caught up with not wanting to fail that we have missed opportunities, right? Give yourself a chance. And then another thing, not all opportunities is worth going after at the risk of your health. And again, like for me, my family matters for what matters most. There are other competition. I have raised $9,000 between September and December as a student with competitions and awards that I've won. And there were others that I could go in, and I just simply said, no, it's fine. I chose to. So yes, I could. I know that if I went in those competition, I would leave with something. But I stopped and focused on my health at the time. And I said, no, it's fine. I will live to see it or to do it another day. So.
Syddonna, having you with us today has been an absolute pleasure. And your wisdom and dedication are truly inspiring. I wish I could continue this for another 1 to 2 hours. I'd love to listen to it. And we are deeply grateful for the time you shared with us. Thank you for enlightening our readers and your continuous contribution to the industry. We look forward to seeing the incredible more studies that you'll have, more innovations to come from you, and undoubtedly continue to make everyone proud, yourself proud, and work with this kind of speed and spirit.
Thank
All the
you.
best. Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much. Thanks
Thank
for having me.
Thank you. Thank you.